Hello everyone, Sophia Abdul Salam here. So I've gone ahead to cut out the pattern of fabric here, as you can see. So I'm just going to explain what I have here to you guys now. So let's talk about the front part. I folded in the band allowance, as you can see, and on the waist I added half-inch sewing allowance. On the crouch I added half-inch, the inseam area I added half-inch, while on the side I added just 1 inch, and that's it for the front. So for the back, I folded in the band allowance as well. And remember, I told you that I'll be putting the zipper at the back here. So that is, I added 1 inch because of the zipper. Then the waist area, I added half-inch sewing allowance. The inseam area, I added half-inch sewing allowance. While on the side, I added just 1 inch. So one thing you need to check before you cut out your pattern on fabric is your dart legs, both for the front and the back. You need to check your dart legs and make sure they are equal. If they are not equal, just correct it before you cut it out on your fabric. So one last thing that I'm going to do is this zipper area, that is the center back area. So I need to stabilize it because it is going to be stretchy. You know, we cut it on bias, yes. So this is slash and spread. We have cut it on bias and it's going to be stretchy. So I need to stabilize it, and for that I'll be using paper stay. You can actually use stay, but I just want to use stay because I feel like when I'm done, I would want to remove the paper stay. Let's say I'm making it for a client, I wouldn't want to put it there. So I'll just go and put the paper stay now, then come back to show you the next thing we are going to be doing. So now I've gone ahead to iron the paper stay on it. So the next thing I'm going to do now is just to mark out my sewing allowances and my dart allowance. So to mark out my dart allowance, I've notched the hip area both on the crouch and on the side, just for me to draw out my hip line. So you can do the same thing, and I notched my dart legs too. So what I'm just going to do now is I'm going to take my ruler and connect the 2 points I notched for me to create my hip line like this. And to know where my dart is going to enter on the hip line, I'll just take my pattern paper and measure what I have on the pattern paper. And remember to add your sewing allowance, whatever sewing allowance you use. So add it like this, then mark it out on your fabric. Whatever you mark, the point is going to be where your dart is going to enter on the hip line. So I'm just going to take my ruler like this and connect it. So let's say you forgot to mark your dart on the waist. Just take your, like I did now, just take your pattern paper and measure where your first dart leg is starting from, add your sewing allowance and mark it. So now I'm done. I'm just going to mark out my sewing allowance on the crouch area. So once I'm done, I am going to mark out my zip allowance. So for this zip, I'm going to go down from the top by 10 inches. Yes, I'll just mark 10 inches like this. So from this 10 inches up, I'll do a loose stitch. Then from the 10 inches down, I'll do a tight stitch. In fact, I'm going to stitch it twice to prevent it from loosening. So I'll do the same thing for the second part of the back and the front area too. I'll mark out my hip line on the front pattern, that allowances, and that's it. So now I'm done marking out all the allowances I need. So I'll just pin the center front together, the two center front, I'll pin them together for sewing, and the back I'll pin them together like this, just for me to take it to the machine to sew. So let's do all the pinning, then we start sewing on the machine. now I am done pinning, so I will just take this to the machine to sew it now. So I will do a loose stitch down to where the zipper is going to end. Then I'm going to back stitch it. Then I'll do a tight stitch all the way to the end. As a matter of fact, I will actually do this part twice. This other part, I'll do it twice to prevent it from loosening. Then now I will stitch the front part too. I'll just do a tight stitch all through. So once I'm done, I will unpin it, then fold my my dart allowances and sew it down before I now take it to the ironing table to iron it down. So normally for this dart allowance, if I was working with maybe Ankara or any other solid fabric, I would have preferred to take it to the ironing table to press it down first before I begin to sew it. But I'm pinning it down here because the fabric is light and it's not reacting well to iron, so that's why I decided to pin it down. Either ways, it all works, but I prefer to iron it down first. It makes my work neater and better. So let me just pin everything down and sew it down. After that, I'm going to take all the things I've sewn. I'll take it to the iron to iron them down neatly. So enjoy. So I saw this trick somewhere on social media where you should not backstitch your darts when you're done sewing it. Instead, you should just tie it like this, like I've done in the video now. So, and it has been, I think I like it, so I've been doing it ever since I saw it. So if you would like to try it too, it's fine. So I just thought I should show you guys as well. So let's continue with our sewing. So after I was done, I took it to the iron to press down all the dart allowance and the seam allowance. So notice that for the front, I ironed it in such a way that the dart is facing the sides, while the center front, I just choose one side to let it face. So as for the back, the dart is facing the center back itself. So these are the things I do when I'm sewing, whether blouse, anything that I put dart on, this is how I do it. So if you want to put hook on your trouser band, you can go ahead and attach your zip now. But if you are not going to put hook, you want the zip to go all the way up, just chill for now and join the front and back together first. So for me, I want the zip to run all the way to the band, so I will have to chill for now. So now, to join the front and back together, I will need to measure what I have on the waist, see what I have in excess, divide it into 4 and mark it. My waist is 28, but what I have here is 34 and a half. So I have in excess of that 4.5 years. So I divided it into 4 and mark it. And I'm marking on the side that is going to face me when I'm sewing. So I did the same thing on the hip area as well. I measured what I have, subtracts my original hip measurement from it, which is 42 and a half. Then the excess, I divided it into 4. I think I have like 1.5 to, I used 1.5 to shape. Yes, I have an excess of 1.5. So this same 1.5, I marked it on the crouch line as well. Yes, whatever you use to shape your hip is what you are going to use to shape your crouch line. And on the knee, I mark exactly the sewing allowance I added, which is 1 inch. I hope you understand, on the knee and on the hemline. So I'm just going to use my ruler now to shape it, to do the straight line, curve line and everything. So when I'm sewing, I'm going to follow the line that I'm using my ruler to create now. So I'm just repeating all the numbers that I did on that other side. I'm repeating it here now so that we are joining 2 sides. So that is what I'm doing right now. So now I'm just going to pin the front and back together before I take it to the machine to sew it down. Personally, I like to pin. Please, guys, if you are not used to pinning your clothes together, I would advise you to do it, because it actually make life easy, especially if you are working with all these drapery, slippery fabric like maybe silk and even this light crepe that I'm working with right now. They tends to shift a lot and squeeze when you are sewing. So when you pin down your clothes like this, it tends to like make it stay in place. So, and help you avoid situation where after you sew, one side is longer than the other. So that is how I do. So just pin your front and back together, ensuring that the notches match, like the notch on the hip, the notch on the knee, and the notch on the crotch line. So like I'm doing. So now when you are done, when you are joining, you will notice that on the waist area they are not equal. Yes, that is because of the slant on the that is because of the slant we did when we are creating those our true waistline and the back. You know, we raised the back by 1 inch when we are drafting the pattern. There is slant there, and the for the front too, I reduced it by three quarter of an inch when I was drafting my own pattern. So all those slant, it is never going to be equal. Just make sure that the part that your machine needle is going to enter equals the other part. Your sewing allowance, see, look at my own here, it is not equal, but I made sure that this part that my needle is going to enter, I made it equal. So you should do the same thing when you are, so if you encounter the same issue, you should not worry, it's a normal thing. I hope you get it. So now I'll pin the inseam side as well. I'll make sure that this sewing here, they matches the crotches, yes, the crouch or crotches, I don't know, I'm sorry about my English. So I'll make sure they match, so that when I'm done and I will use a pin to secure it, so that when I'm done joining it, it will look straight. So I'm going to show you when I'm done sewing, so that you see what I'm talking about. These are little details I do when I am making my clothes. So let me just pin everything down, take it to the machine, then I'll come and show you the So I'm done sewing now, and as you can see, it's coming together already. So what I'm just going to do now is, I don't like the way the seam area is, the seam line is. I'll take it to the iron. I'm going to iron it down. So this is what I was telling you about this crotch part. Can you see? I don't know if you can see it clearly, but the line is straight. It's looking as if I sew them together. Like, I don't know how to explain it. So that is it. So I'll just take this to the machine, to the iron down the seam line, so that it will be neat. Then I'm going to open up the zip allowance, so that I'll be able to attach the zip. So I'll come back and show you. So here is it. I'm done ironing now. I've ironed down all the seam lines, so it's looking better now. So the next thing, another thing I did is the M line. Yes, so I folded it in, I ironed it down. So I don't like running stitch around that hemline. I don't like seeing it, it looks tacky to me. So I'm just going to use my hand needle to tack it down. I'll tack it down neatly. I don't know why, I just don't like it. So I've cut out a band. So I cut 4 inches, so which is going to be 2 inches on fold. Can you see? So I cut 4 inches. So after folding it, it's 2 inches. You know, the band allowance I did was 1.5, so I just cut a straight thing, no big deal. So then I folded in one part of the band. I used about 3/4 of an inch to fold it in. I didn't use up to half of an inch. You understand why later. So what I'm just going to do now is I'm going to go and attach the band to the trousers. So to do that, I'm just going to attach it all the way around. So I'll take it to the machine now to join the band, then I'll come back to show you the next thing I'm going to do. So, and I make sure that right side facing each other, please. Now I'm almost done attaching the band to the trousers. So the next thing for me now is to cover up this seam allowance here. So I'm going to be using this part of the band that I folded in to cover it like this. So I hope you now understand the reason why I decided to fold one part of the band. This is so that when I'm done like this, I won't need to weave any part of the band. I don't know if you're seeing that kind of finishing, but with this kind of finishing, you won't have to weave any part of the band. And I think I like this style because it just make the work a lot neater and finer. Maybe it's just my preference, but this is what I like to do. So normally I'm not supposed to be pinning like this. I'm supposed to just take it to the iron, push the seam allowance inside the band and iron it down. But the fabric I'm working with is not doesn't tolerate so much heat. So I'm scared of putting so much heat on it. That's why I'm pinning. But if you're working with a more durable fabric, you can just, instead of pinning, just take it to the iron. It's faster. Take it to the iron down your seam allowance, use your band to cover it up. And I feel like if you take it to the iron, and when you take it to the iron, make sure you don't lose the fold that you have done on the band, because if you lose the fold, that will be like double work for you. You have to refold the band to cover the seam. I hope you get it. So let's just pin everything down, then we go and sew down the band from outside. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about soon. So right now I'm done pinning. What I'm just going to do now is I'll take this to the machine and I'll sew it down from the outside by the edge. I'll just sew it down neatly and tiny. I don't have to make it very obvious. So I'll just go and do that now, then come back to show you guys what I have. So after that, I am going to take it to the machine again to sew the zip. Yes, then I'll come back to show you what it looks like on me. So actually here I'm done fixing the band. This is the inside. This is what it looks like from the inside. So right now I'll just take it to the machine to attach the zip, then come back to show you guys what it looks like on me. See you soon. So here I am just rocking it, wanting you guys to see the fit, the everything, the contoured part of, like, everything just fits well. I love the fit of this trouser. I love what it looks like on me, and I believe you are going to love what it looks like on you as well when you're done making your own. So thank you so much for watching. See you guys in my next video, and please like, share and subscribe. Bye.